I equate a lot of my information education always back to the aviation thing. It's the same thing. It's not real until the instructor gets out of the airplane for the first time. It's all fun and games while you have the instructor sitting beside you that can always save you. It's that first solo flight. The first time you look over and go, oh God, there's nobody in here for me. That's when it gets real. Same thing in business.
Welcome everyone to the Road Less Traveled show. This is a show about people that were successful in their previous career and left that to join another path, to follow another path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
Today's guest is Bill Ham. We're certainly pleased to have Bill, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So let me hand over to Bill Zahller.
Yeah, Bill, thanks for being on the show. We appreciate you coming on. And just, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What was your former career and how many years were you in that career?
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me. Former career, aviation. I was a corporate pilot. Did that out of college. I flew for probably 5 or 6 years before I switched to the dark side of real estate, and I never went back to aviation.
That's right. Can you tell us a little bit about the path you're on now, then how you transitioned out of the flying and into the real estate?
Yeah, it's pretty direct. Now I am a commercial owner operator of multifamily, larger apartment complexes. I've had over 1,000 units. Getting started, I was a corporate pilot, like I said, flying. Kind of came out of the aviation academy. And 9/11 had hit, so it was back in 2001. I got stuck as a flight instructor for a lot longer than I had planned, which was a horrible job. I was being paid $8 an hour, and the student's job was to kill us, and my job was to stop the student from killing us. And it was not fun for $8 an hour. So fast forward, I wound up getting hired on as a doctor in Macon, Georgia, that hired me to work in his company, and so I flew corporate aviation for that individual, and just kind of realized that and Bill, you can probably attest to this, pilot's real important from takeoff to landing, not so important on the ground. Not airplanes parked, we kind of aren't so valuable anymore. And and in corporate, the schedule there was no schedule. It was just you're a glorified limo driver. And I appreciated the job, and it was great. And I loved flying airplanes, but I just got bored really quick and easy. And woke up one day and I saw friends of mine that had been flipping houses. And I thought, wait a second now, we were all at the bar last night and you got up and went and flipped houses. And I got up and went to work. And it's like, and you made the same amount of money in real estate that I made working all year, and it took you a couple of months to do it. And that was kind of my aha moment. And I went, wait, something's wrong here. If these guys can do it, I can do it. And I saved up $10,000. That was my life savings. And I bought a duplex, and the duplex was cash flowing $300 a month. And I quit the aviation career and just went into real estate with a duplex and $300 a month. And for better or for worse, I'm still here.
Well, that's it. Like you said, you can have the best corporate job, right? You could luck out, and looking back, it was great. But by the end of the day, there's no real job security. Especially if it's a single principal, they get hit by a bus, whatever, the hard times, they sell the plane first. There's, like I said, at least you have more control of your destiny and what you're doing this way. You kind of set it up and you have multiple streams of income and a little more secure, I think. Yeah.
And Bill Ham, how did your schedule work? Were you just sort of on call,
Yeah, basically, it was an odd job. I actually worked 9 to 5 Monday through Friday inside this doctor's practice, not medical practice, but he had a medical supply company. So I actually kind of had a job 9 to 5 Monday through Friday working at a desk, and then if you wanted to fly places, I did that too. So, it was just all over the place. So I was and was not on call. He was, I had some notices when we were going somewhere.
Yeah.
The schedule wasn't completely mine, but that's okay. I was young at the time. And again, I figured I was 28 when I quit. And so I thought, gosh, if worst case scenario, even if real estate doesn't work out, I can always go back, get another job,
Sure.
go back to work somewhere. I was single at the time, no kids, no real debt. Mm-hmm. I figured, why not? So there's the carve out. I want to kind of throw that out there for anybody that's listening to this that has a job. Don't think that you need to just run away from your career and make some kind of life-altering move like that. That's not necessarily responsible for a grown adult. I was pretty young and pretty free back then.
Yeah, it can be done, but again, it's a matter of figuring out the timing that works for you and your personal circumstance, as well as what type of money you need to live on. I mean, it's not something to be, we absolutely think this is a great path to to move in a different direction, but at the same point in time, you got to go in eyes wide open that there's it's not a walk in the park. You got to plan it out. So yeah. So Bill, is there a funny story that you can share with us of, something along the line of, having been in that corporate job you described that, really made you question, why are you doing this?
I made yes. I shouldn't tell the story actually, but I suppose I will. I made a really bad decision as a pilot to, all right, I'll back up for non-aviation people. When you're flying along, you can fly into clouds, and inside that clouds can be what we call icing conditions. And a lot of people don't realize that moisture can actually fall below the temperature of freezing and not freeze if it doesn't have something to stick to. And so like every little snowflake and things like that all have a center of dust or something that those crystals formed on. So, that's what we call clear icing. And I was flying along above the clouds, and there's the airport below us, and the weather had reported these clouds to be relatively thin. But it also said there was potential icing inside these clouds. And I thought, I know we're not supposed to do that. I'm flying a somewhat rated airplane. It's somewhat rated for that kind of thing. But, I thought, what I'll do is I'll just dive really quickly down through the clouds, and we'll poke out at the bottom, and then everything will be fine. It won't be any big deal. Get a little bit of ice on there, no problem. Well, so we're flying along, and the airport's coming up beneath me, and I make the decision to go ahead and descend down through the clouds. And within a couple of seconds, it was way more icing than I had ever counted on. And it was clear icing, not the frosty kind, but the second that droplet hits your windshield, it stays there kind of ice. And all of a sudden, it was just like rain all over the windshield, and the whole windshield just ices over. I can't see out. I'm kind of looking out the side, and I'm seeing ice just forming on the wings rapidly. Our instruments started to drop off. I lost airspeed. I started losing different, attitude indicators. And that's when I went, oh boy, did I make a bad choice. And I remember diving. Now I'm really diving, right? Well, there's mountains beneath me. This is over sort of North Georgia up towards Tennessee. And I know that I've got to get out from underneath these clouds, but at the same time, I know there's variable terrain beneath me, the mountains. And so it's not night, but it's close to night, it's dusk. And so it's just a really bad situation. We come out from underneath those clouds into the warm air, and that ice just starts coming off the windshield in sheets, and it's flinging off the wings, and it's coming off. And the instruments started to come back up, and I thought, yeah, I quit. I'm out. That was it. We landed the airplane, and I went, that was my choice. Bad decision. Here's my 2 weeks notice. I'm going to go do real estate. And that was the end of that.
That's I guess, wasn't no nice equipment then. But it didn't sound like a hot windshield or anything on that.
Yeah, I had a little bit of leading edge heaters. It had luckily a high performance engine that had the horsepower to push through that scenario. And there was a few light icing instruments. I think we had the heated boots in the front. I mean, very little. It was not really a particularly ice rated airplane, but it was a high performance engine. And I think that is the only reason that airplane didn't crash. If it had been a little small trainer airplane with these little Cessnas or something like that, they would have never had the horsepower to keep us in the air. And that's the only reason I think I'm alive today. So I've had some close calls in real estate, but not that close. So.
That's right. What do they say? There's the bold pilots and old pilots, but no bold pilots.
And then there's the ones that go into real estate.
That's right. Make that early transition. Yep.
Yeah, that probably wasn't going to be a good thing for getting promoted in that particular field. Job, not good for job security in that.
Not good situation. For job security. Yeah. So I just thought, I'm good.
So you kind of touched on it there, I guess, Bill, but you were saying like, what was a kind of a deciding factor that made you get into real estate? That sounded like it was a deciding factor to make you get out of aviation. That was just kind of one of the parallel paths you're kind of working at the same time as why real estate seemed like a natural transition.
Yeah, it was. I think it was really probably monkey see, monkey do. Like I said, I saw my friends that were doing real estate, and I think that was probably kind of the instigation for it. As I see them being successful, I know that I'm cut out for business. I know that I'm supposed to be doing something entrepreneurially. I'm not sure what. I know aviation's not it. I have one of these kind of afternoons and I go, and that's when I thought, well, by the way, but for some months prior to quitting, I had been reading books, studying Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all those kinds of things. So there was some overlap in, it wasn't like I just woke up one day, said I quit and then went and bought a duplex. I had spent some months getting my education together, reading, studying. And so I think that was kind of just the straw that I was looking for to push me over the edge. Was that one bad afternoon. Again, totally my fault. I'm not blaming anybody or anything else, but it just made me realize maybe I'm not the best pilot in the world. Maybe I'm not the best decision maker when it comes to these things. I'll go do something else. Business, you lose a little bit of money. Aviation, you get killed, so
Yeah. Actually, my father-in-law, he was Air Force, career Air Force. And then my wife's cousin went to the Air Force Academy, and they tell a story that said that, hey, Uncle Jim, I'm trying to decide between being a helicopter pilot and a fighter pilot. And Jim's response was, well, if you have to ask, then you're a helicopter pilot.
Really? Yeah,
exactly. So wow, that's a pretty big decision, and obviously, glad you came out of that one. Okay, it's certainly
I did.
No doubt that was a little scary in the moment. So
it was, but it helped me get by it. And I'll tell you the lesson that I really learned from that, and I think some of the listeners may have more value in taking away here, is that everybody has some sort of bridge back to their safe zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my problem. It wasn't really the job. It wasn't really that afternoon. It wasn't really that I made a bad decision. Those are all just sort of anecdotal bits of the story here. The real point was every time I got close to having to make a commitment in the business, doing a deal, something that made me nervous, I would always use the bridge back to the job as a way to kind of go back to safe territory and an excuse not to take action in the real estate world. And so that was really my aha moment, was that, I need to pick one path or the other and commit to whatever path that's going to be. I need to commit to it. And that's when I decided that maybe real estate really wasn't, or flying aviation really wasn't for me. And so that's when I realized I need to burn that bridge and let the light kind of shine the way forward, as they say. So that's what I did. I just made the commitment to commit to my business and to myself and not to a job. But yes, almost getting killed did make that decision a little bit easier, but it wasn't the real deciding factor, as funny as that sounds.
Sure. No, that makes sense. So Bill, along your new path, were there some obstacles you encountered early on that that you had to overcome?
Yeah, getting into real estate was lack of experience, lack of credibility, lack of relationships. I was young. I was not an established individual. I did not have money and didn't have credibility. So it was very difficult. And I got in in the mailroom on the bottom level of real estate. Very tough neighborhoods, very high crime areas, small properties, houses, duplexes, things of this nature. And I just continued working at it and continued until I finally elevated myself out of that type of business and product and moved up into ultimately commercial multifamily, where I'm at now. But it was a long process and it was not overnight. And that's why I've been doing this 16 years now. But that was kind of the transition. So I think early on, the biggest obstacles were lack of money, lack of credibility, lack of experience. So I just had to get out and learn and teach myself the best I could, and then just run the gauntlet every day and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excellent. Well, Bill, what was one of your first victories along your new career path?
Well, the first deal, I think, was the first victory. Well, I tell you what, let me back that comment up. Actually, the first victory was closing the only piece of real estate that's ever going to matter. That's the 6 inches between your ears, right? So I had to get my mindset right first. That was the first victory, was the decision to commit, the decision to take action, decision to invest in myself. That was the first victory. So once I had made that mental conversion, the rest of them kind of came in order. So the second deal would have been the first real estate deal. That was the duplex that I closed. So a lot of successes in there, but a lot of failures as well. A lot of terrible failures. So I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. It was not all success. Don't want anybody to think that. A lot of mistakes in there, but you got to understand it's a new venture. You got to learn. You got to figure things out. In aviation, we luckily have instructors. Sometimes in real estate, we do or we don't have instructors. There's no way to learn aviation without an instructor. You go out and get the airplane, just trying to figure out how to fly, you just die. But the problem is in real estate, there's no barrier to this. A lot of people just jump in without proper education, without instructors. And that has real varied results. So, I'm a big proponent of people going out and getting an education. Be careful who you sign up with. I'm not saying just sign up with any old Yahoo that went out and closed the deal and say they're now some kind of real estate guru, but definitely do your homework and get an education. Work with somebody or a partner that can help you transition into the business. That's something I wish I would have done. Again, I had nobody in the beginning, so I just went out and made it up. But it was very, very long, very difficult, very developing path. I'll say that.
Well, like you said, there's always, there's going to be mistakes, right? Any new ventures, you learn the learning curve, like in anything. So you can either learn from your mistakes, which hopefully you do, or from somebody else's. Like you said, if you can shorten that learning curve because somebody that's been there before can kind of give some guidance and some of the, inflection points that you need to.
Yeah, I always tell my students, look, you're going to get an education and you're going to pay for it. The question is, where do you get the information or the education, and how much do you pay for it? You can skip the teacher stuff and go right out on the street. You're going to get an education. You're going to pay for it. Again, I think the education is cheaper and less painful in a classroom setting, but hey, everybody's different.
One of the things that to me is also makes a lot of sense is, if you can get the information, hopefully you'll be able to find it out. But, this person you're learning from, where are they making their money? Are they making their money from doing what you want to do, these deals, or are they making all their stream of income from an education platform?
Correct.
And, again, Bill and I are absolutely firm believers in education, and, we've spent a lot of time and, we've learned some of those painful lessons along the way too. But at the same point in time, you definitely, we believe in education and at the same point in time, we know plenty of folks as well who, like to learn, and that's fine, but they just keep learning and learning and learning and studying and studying and studying and never take action.
Professional students.
And that's fantastic.
I've had a lot of
those. Hey, again, learn, but at the same point, you got to take action. You got to jump in the deep end at some point.
You won't know what you don't know, right? I mean, until you get out there, you can be as book smart and read everything you can, but until you actually get out there in it, there'll be things that you didn't realize you didn't know. But you can figure it out. I mean, with enough background and enough knowledge, you can work through it.
Yeah, exactly. Until you actually are in that deal and you have to go get this, this problem figured out. It's an academic exercise. It doesn't really mean anything, and until you actually have to live through it to conquer it.
Yeah, well, I agree. And it's the same thing to equate. I equate a lot of my information education always back to the aviation thing. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. It's not real until the instructor gets out of the airplane for the first time. It's all fun and games while you have the instructor sitting beside you that can always save you. It's that first solo flight. The first time you look over and go, oh God, there's nobody in here for me. That's when it gets real. Same thing in business. It's like but you do have to take it. You do have to solo. You do have to take that outside the classroom. You do have to go out and take action in the real world, outside of the confines of education and the teacher to help you, or you're never going to actually learn to fly your business in the proper manner. So you do have to take risk. Just hopefully it's educated risk.
Yeah. Right. So Bill, in your new path, is there a humorous anecdote that you can share with us?
My new path. Let's see. Yeah, I would say, hey, I'll give you one of my philosophies. Hey, man, if you screw up 1 by 2, you screw up 2 by 10, you'll get it right eventually. Just don't quit. I've abandoned more real estate than a lot of people will close. Dead honest comment. I've abandoned probably 15 different units. That duplex, the very first property I ever bought, I still own it. It's abandoned. And I make a $413 a month payment to the bank on a 30-year mortgage every month. Yeah, why? Because it's not worth foreclosure. Who cares?
Oh, wow.
Cost average the mistake. Don't worry about it. Look, you're gonna mess some stuff up. When you do, just go keep going and keep buying forward. It sounds like I'm being flippant with that comment, but I am not. It's when you make a mistake and you stop, that mistake gets put under glass. That mistake gets set in stone. That's the real mistake. So, my point here is be ready to fail, but once you fail, be ready to keep failing and keep going. You'll get it right eventually. You've got to just kind of push through that stuff, and it's called cost average. So like I said, you screw up 1, Buy 2, you screw up 2, buy 10. Just keep going, and you'll learn, and you'll get it right, and you'll rise above the mistakes, and you'll average it out, and then you'll ultimately be good. It's when you take those mistakes a little too personally, a little too seriously. How do I know? That you wind up really kind of, again, failing at the only deal that matters, the 6 inches between your ears.
There's an expression, fail fast forward. If you're going to fail in something, cut your losses quickly, but at the same point in time, you got to keep moving forward. Don't let that stop you. Move on to the next one to keep on trucking and keep going.
Yeah, I was sitting there listening. I was on a podcast not long back, actually, and the host had a sign behind him, and it said, what did it say? Attitude is altitude. And I sat there for a minute. I went, yeah, until you run out of fuel. Your attitude ain't worth a damn if you ain't got any gas in that place. I hear your attitude's altitude. Until it isn't, it's like, look, that's a great concept, but it's basically nonsense. Attitude will get you into a situation, but it doesn't get you out. Skills land the airplane. Attitude will get you in. It's skills that get you home. So, when I tell students, it's like, look, learn to analyze a deal, figure out your exit strategy before you go into it, because like an airplane, once you take off, you're going to land wheels up or wings up. You're going to put that airplane back on the ground some way, right? Mm-hmm. So let's do our homework before we take off. Let's do our flight plans, do all these things and get ready before we commit to this action. Because once you commit, you're in there, right? So, that's kind of my 2 cents for all of that. But learn and pay attention to what you're doing, because once you're up there is no timeout.
Yeah, exactly. And again, hopefully that deal has actually multiple exit strategies. You plan your exit is a great point, but at the same point in time, it's ideal to have more than one.
Yeah, so. Attitude's great, skills are better.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's what at the end of the day, that's what they pay us for, right? They pay us for solving problems, and the more knowledge you've acquired over your career, the easier the problems. It's like what was it, Ray Dalio? His saying was, "Oh, another one of those." They've seen it before. It's not new. We've been through this before. We can solve this problem. So it's, I think that you have a lot more to draw from, like you said, from your skills that as you build up that kind of database of historical events. Yeah. Well, but where are you today in your journey on your new career path?
Yeah, I'm just looking for deals, more deals. I'm selling off a lot of the portfolio simply because the market is right for selling. You buy low, sell high, and we've done that. And so I'm selling off a fair amount of the portfolio. I'm certainly not getting out of the business by any stretch of the imagination, but now looking to repurpose the capital, looking for new multifamily assets, because that's pretty much all I do now is larger multifamily. Mm-hmm. So looking for more product, and I've been teaching a lot more. I've written a book lately. So I've been kind of going more in some of the education side as well as running the business and purchasing. The education side, besides it pays well, actually is turning out to be a great networking in sort of, that's what I've been doing more lately, because I believe the market is pretty inflated as far as prices and deal flow is concerned. So the purchasing is slowed down. So I'm spending my time writing the book and doing a lot of education and getting a lot more traction on social media, largely because that's going to serve as my networking database in order to raise money and to go out and do future deals. So I always kind of say when the market's tough like this, now it's a great time to not buy real estate at all, but build your team, build your group, get your education together. Now is the best time to be getting into real estate because you're not going to close anything. So get your education together, get your team together, learn, read the books, so that when the market gets right again, you're going into that market with full momentum. If you think you're going to wait and time the market perfectly, you're mistaken, because if you try and jump in at the bottom, it's going to take you a year or 2 or 3 to kind of get ramped up, get your team, get your momentum. You'll have missed the perfect opportunity. So right now is the best time to get started, get in, get learning, and get out there and get my book. But other than that, get out there and get an education.
What is the name of your book, Bill?
It's Creative Cash. It's on creative financing and using creative financing to fund real estate deals. It's on Amazon and Kindle.
Oh, great.
We'll put a link to that in, or at least a reference in the show notes about that. So very good.
But as you say, I mean, it is like you said, building your team. For anybody that's not that familiar with larger real estate transactions, it's definitely a team sport. There's no one guy covering every base. You can't go as deep as you need to in all the different facets of your business.
Right. you know what I've come to realize is you can do real estate alone. You're just going to do it very, very slowly. You are not going to move quickly if you're trying to do this by yourself. There's way too much work. There's way too much going on. You need partners, you need equity. In a lot of cases, we need more net worth in order to do those larger deals and to take down and to satisfy some of the lender requirements. Like, yeah, look, you can do it alone. It's going to take you 10 more years than it would if you would just partner up with people.
Right. Makes sense. So, Bill, where does the road take you from here?
That is a great question. I have no idea, actually. I'm working on a second book. So more deals. And I don't know. I'm really kind of in that let's answer that question over time mode. So I'm doing a lot of interviews and things like this, and really just kind of putting the line in the water and seeing what is next. I'm creating a lot of content online and looking at deals. And other than that, I really don't know. So I'm just going to sit tight and enjoy myself and keep trying to create value for people like yourselves and spread the word and just see where the path goes.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, certainly I look at every day as a new challenge and I don't have it all figured out. And I honestly, I want to experience new things along the way. So I constantly want to be looking to grow and reinvent and, see where things go. So I don't think there is any one destination at the end, it evolves.
Yeah. Entrepreneurialism is a lifestyle, so I always joke that my life is a string of Tuesdays. It's always Tuesday to me. I don't know, whatever it is. Oh, it's Saturday. I'm like, is it? I don't care. It's always Tuesday to me. I'm always at work, but I love it. I enjoy it. And so I'm always free to be at work, basically. I'm always free to not be at work. I'm always free to do whatever I want, but I do have to be responsible and earn a living. So that's a lifestyle, but I love it. So that's why I have no idea what the next project will be or what the next day holds, but ask me tomorrow and I'll tell you tomorrow.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, Bill, what's something you've recently implemented in your business to help you achieving your goals?
More discipline. I'm a very undisciplined person. I've had to kind of fall back to, again, I'll bring up the aviation, more checklists. It's one of the only things that probably kept me alive as a pilot it was just checklists. Just instead of trying to remember everything to do, it was always just written down on checklists. And so I've kind of brought that into my business. And so what I do is I call it discipline goals. So I am not personally a big fan of long-term goals, 3 years, 5 years, this kind of stuff. I think that's a relative nonsense point of view. So what I do is I say your goals really shouldn't extend beyond Friday, and they should exist from Monday to Friday and then reset on the next Monday. So what I've been trying to do is to create what do I consider to be a successful week? And so what I teach my students is ask that question: what is a successful week in fill in the blank? I would say, what's a successful week in real estate? Well, what you want to do is to sit down and come up with what are the handful of items that if you accomplished every single week, you'd step back on Friday and go, yeah, it was a good week. So for me, it's, networking twice a week. It's education, a few education pieces a week. It's analyze 3 to 5 deals a week. And I have a list of these things and I have to accomplish them Monday through Friday, because come Monday, the entire list starts over again. So it's the best goal, one that can't be achieved. That's the best kind of goal. That's the best destination, one that goes nowhere, right? It's just an everlasting loop of doing the same stuff. But that's how you get the discipline in and actually build your business, because I think sometimes people look too far ahead. They're always looking at the 3 years and the 5 years and way up here. And I go, great. So what are you doing this afternoon to achieve those goals? What are you doing by Friday? They have no answer. Well, then your 3 years and 5 years are complete nonsense concepts. Let's talk about what you're doing between now and Friday. Discipline goals. And so that's what I recommend everybody listening. And that's what I've done in my business, is to create a list of things that make a successful week. And then you just rinse and repeat. And if you get them all done on Thursday, take Friday off and don't worry about it. Reset on Monday.
Right. It's always Tuesday though.
Whatever day it is. Yeah, for me, it's always Tuesday. Yeah, good point. Yeah, exactly. Love it.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, that, people sometimes start out in the business. They want to, they come up with like a long-term goal, be it 5-10 years. And I want to own 10,000 units. Well, if you have 0 now, it's not an easy logical leap. Like, oh, here's how I'm going to get it. I'm just going to get 10,000 units 10 years from now. I mean, it's like you said, it's daily as you continue to build on that habit and build the base that you need to acquire those, deal over deal.
Exactly. Yeah. Weekly discipline goals. You just got to do them weekly.
Right. So Bill, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to change their path?
Get an education first, but decide when you will commit. So what is your line in the sand that you can say to yourself, once I accomplish X, then I will take X action. And that's the remedy for people that get stuck in classrooms, always thinking, hey, if I read one more book, if I take one more class, if I listen to one more podcast, the magic is going to happen. It's not. You cannot sit in your driveway, wait for all the lights to turn green before you back out. That's nonsense, right? So I would say whatever your agenda is, whatever your goal is, if you want to get into real estate, aviation, whatever it is you want to get into, start with an education, but at the same time, set a timeline for your agenda. So once you've accomplished X amount, you're going to go to the next level and do it. And that'll stop you from just chasing classrooms forever and ever. And that's a big mistake that I see a lot of people is they don't know when to quit learning and to start acting. Mm-hmm. So that's when I would say kind of figure out whatever your personal trigger is. And when you get there, jump.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, Bill, what's the best way for the listeners to be able to reach you?
Sure. Email. Well, you can find me on all the social media platforms. Bill Ham, Ham, and email is bill@gobroadwell.com. Website is, there's several. You have gobroadwell.com if you're an investor. If you're looking to work with my team and I as a limited partner or a general partner, go to gobroadwell.com. There's a little spot there for investor info. Log in. We'll reach out to you. If you're looking for more information in real estate and creative financing, I have the book Creative Cash and a website called creativeapartmentdeals.com. So those are the two places you can find me. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and social media. Just search for Bill Ham. You'll pull me right up. Great. Well, Bill, we would like to thank you for being a guest on the Road Less Traveled show today. Really appreciated the conversation. Enjoyed it. A lot of value. And thanks again. Wish you continued success.
Yeah, Bill, thank you for being on. We'd also like to thank our audience for listening. We really appreciate you tuning in and giving us a 5-star rating. Please continue to join us. We'd also like to thank our sponsors. We couldn't do it without you. So remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.